Okay, so Vale, why don't you start? Why were you interested in hosting a learning lab?
Um, well, first of all, we had the opportunity of having a coach that could help us and guide shared reading in our classroom. Also, it was one of our team goals, our team goal was to focus on shared reading. And this was a great opportunity for the whole team to be involved in authentic shared reading with a second grade class, and a way to really really have our students in an environment where we could have shared reading and have people observe. So if we had the chance to do that. So that was why I was very interested in doing it. Also, it was a great experience for me as a learner to know how to do that in a way that was engaging and fun and with an appropriate book. So it was a great opportunity.
Awesome. And what about you, Allie? Why did you sign up to participate in it?
I signed up to participate when I was thinking back on just any learning event that I had participated in as a teacher. Some of the most powerful and I would say lasting experiences were when, as a team, we were able to collaborate and co-plan things together, but then being able to actually observe other teachers in action so you can see how it looks, how it sounds, how it feels to be in the classroom has always been really powerful. And a learning lab seemed to kind of tick all of those boxes. And it seemed like a lot of fun.
So Vale, when you signed up to host the lab, what did you expect?
First of all, as I said before, it was a great opportunity for me to find books that were appropriate for shared reading. Also, I was expecting to learn a lot about my students as readers themselves. It was very interesting because we went through all the reading levels and we had to find a level that was appropriate for everybody, keeping in mind that we have language learners in the class. So that was very interesting for me. I learned a lot in that area. And also I was hoping I got the experience of co-planning shared reading lesson, which was then I had the template to do it with any other book or any other, in any other context that I needed to do so in the future. So that was why, some of the reasons I signed up for it.
Cool. And you, Allie, when you signed up to what did you expect? What were you thinking?
I expected, my hope was to just grow around a component of literacy that I really had no experience with. We had been talking as a team about shared reading as a way to get all eyes on a text. And I'd always heard about it being used in lower elementary K2, first grade, but not so much as a second grade part of literacy. So I was really excited to see it in action and just to not only observe the lesson, but then I had participated in a learning lab before, and those deep conversations that you have in the debrief part of the whole protocol, I was hoping just to kind of continue to grow my learning in that area and be able to name some of the student learning that we saw and, have a better understanding of what to be looking for in my own classroom.
Awesome. Okay, so how did it turn out? What were some of, key learnings or takeaways that you or the team pulled out?
So as I mentioned before, it was very positive to have this experience because I got to really look into each one of my students' reading and their levels, and also not only their levels, but the specifics. What were they working on? And based on that, we made the decisions for the learning lab and what was going to be our focus for that specific reading. So. Specifically to me as a teacher, as a host, that was one of my biggest takeaways, like really looking into everybody's reading and what were their needs, and finding, because at the beginning it was hard for me to think that I could have all of it was a big group. It was I'd say more than 10 students, 12 students, having all their needs met in one lesson but we managed and we really looked into everybody's specific needs and found something that was going to be helpful to everybody. The high readers, the ones that were or need a little bit extra push, the ones that were reading on level. So that was one of the biggest takeaways for me. And also the planning and looking at and co-creating this lesson, which was really 30-minute long lesson or even shorter 20-minute lesson. So we really had to keep our focus very clear, so we knew and we we didn't get distracted by other factors. And it was really amazing because then other teachers did try it the next day or the week after, and we had the book, and it was we could even change it for a different book, but we already had those strategies, and it was very clear how to find the focus for your lesson. So it was a great experience for our students. We were very lucky, and for us as teachers also to be involved in this learning lab.
What about you, Ali?
A lot of what Vale said, I agree with. From a learner perspective, as the observer in that classroom, I think some of the biggest takeaways were just learning the structure of a shared reading lesson. And, it was just one day of what a week of shared reading could look like. So having that student learning outcome was really powerful, because I think sometimes as a teacher, when I was thinking about planning a shared reading experience, you have this idea that I wanted to cram everything in. And so this was really helpful to see, like, no, we're just going to look at this one component of making your voice sound like a teacher voice. And then some of the ways that you can do that by looking at the bold words or, the expert words, and how, maybe you can make your voice sound excited when you read that big word of roots and stems. So I thought that was really powerful as a learner. I think also just to see how excited the kids were. There was a song that they sang, a poem song at the beginning, and they were all into it. And when they were reading along, when they gave some of the strategies, like, oh, we could sound excited, watching the kids try that out was adorable. And it helps you then be able to think about what it should look like for your own students when you try it out in your classroom. So just the observing your fellow teachers be amazing and do what they do, I think is also a great team building experience. We all want to get into each other's classrooms, but the reality of that doesn't always work out with timing. So being provided that time, I think not only improving my practice as a teacher, helping me know what to actually look for to show evidence of student learning, but then it helped our team, bond together a little bit more. And I thought that was really powerful.
Awesome. Okay, so how was the lab student-centered?
I really enjoyed the protocol for the learning lab, and the pre-brief helped focus the observation on student learning. So one of the things that we did that was really helpful was we charted the learning outcome look for. So the shared reading experience was observing Vale doing a nonfiction text and specifically listening to students and how they use their teacher voice when reading a nonfiction text. And so when we all got together and did this pre-brief and charted the look fors specifically for that outcome, it was powerful to chart or jot down to some of the things we wanted or expected students to be doing. And even some of the things that we would notice that kids who maybe were not engaged in the lesson, like some of the look fors for that as well. So that when we went into the observation, you were focused on the students sitting on the carpet, listening and engaging in that activity. And you're not, I think sometimes when you're watching a teacher teach, your eyes are drawn to the actual teacher. And this helped us stay focused on the students and how they participated, or maybe how they weren't participating, and some of the reasons or implications for why that was happening. Were they language learners? Was this a text that was too above their level? So I think just the protocol really helps it stay focused. And then after that observation, again, that debrief where we go through the different rounds, and round one, the conversation is just on the student evidence, really helps it stay focused on that learning component.
Mm-hmm. And for you, Vale, as the host, was it for you, like that being student-centered?
Well, we had been following some lessons right before this learning lab, and it was very positive because we could always go back to something we kept saying to students, which was reading. Reading is thinking. So we kept going back to that, and students already knew this. So it was very organic for them to have this learning lab after all these lessons. We could keep going back to the strategies that we had tried before, and it was all about them trying these strategies, trying new strategies, trying it all together. And at one point, when you could tell that maybe they were all maybe they're losing their stamina. They could also notice that we were all sitting. I mean, they were all sitting at the rug, right? So they could see their partner, their peers, trying the same, and that was also a motivation for them. And also for them, students already knew that the teachers were going to come and observe. So I feel like nobody was really looking around to see like, oh, like teachers, and also teachers, we knew that we were the ones being observed. That was very helpful in having the focus beyond students and really them giving it a try. And if we needed to give them more time, if we needed to try it again, that was perfect. And we did it, or we gave them those extra seconds. And it really felt very, very natural as they were really trying these new strategies. And it wasn't really us teaching something, and it was all about the teaching. It was all about the trying it out.
Mm-hmm. So that focus on that student learning, right? As opposed to just watching us teach, right?
Exactly.
So what was the impact of this learning lab on your own classroom?
For us specifically, well, we were the host class. So first of all, it was very, at the beginning, we thought it could be challenging for students to not notice 8 other adults or 9 adults looking at them and taking notes, right? So it was very beneficial for us, particularly because that way for students to feel comfortable having other people observe their learning. And also teachers were very respectful, and they only asked questions or got closer to students when there was a moment for questions, and they weren't really making our students uncomfortable. So it was a great it was a great moment for both teachers and students, and we could all we felt really comfortable with that. And also we, as a class, then our students we tried that again, and then students felt really comfortable with shared reading. They already kind of knew what was happening, and we tried a different book. They were like, "Oh, this is what we did last time with all those teachers," and yeah, we're trying this again. And they could see, they could also understand that there was a very there was a lot for them to take away as readers, and I really think that it was impacted on them as learners, as a powerful moment for them to learn some strategies, some to share with their partners or their peers. And try those different strategies that Ali was talking about before, like those bold words, or find the root of the word, or look around the page if you find any other clues. So I think it got us set and ready for the next shared reading lessons.
And you, Ali?
The observation of a shared reading lesson in that learning lab had a huge impact on my own personal classroom. To be able to just listen to how the students responded, to watch how the students interacted, gave me a better idea of what I should be looking for as evidence of student learning, because our classrooms share a similar population of students. We have a lot of EAL learners. We've got students who are reading, way above grade level, significantly below, right in the middle. So to be able to actually listen and watch students, who are all over the page as learners interact within that lesson, just gave me more confidence to be able to not only actually do a shared reading and think about the pacing and everything that goes into the specific student learning outcome, but more importantly, what I should be noticing in the students who are participating in that. And, like Vale said, okay, so we did one day of maybe a focus on fluency. So then the next day, being able to do kind of the similar framework, but maybe a focus more on vocabulary. And then, the next day build on that so it can become a week-long experience. So it was really impactful, and shared reading is something that we try to incorporate much more frequently. And I can do that more confidently now, having participated in that learning lab.
Great. Thank you guys so much for your time. That was awesome.